You are listening to socialtv.co.za with myself, Nokuthula. In our top stories, Standard Bank commits 300 billion to sustainability target, and Rwanda leads Africa in plastic waste management. Starting off with our top story, Standard Bank has set aside a cumulative amount of between 250 billion rands and 300 billion rands for sustainable finance projects by the end of 2026. This target includes 50 billion of financing for renewable energy and underwriting of a further 15 billion rands for renewable energy by the end of 2024. This was the announcement made by Standard Bank Group Chief Executive of Cooperative and Investment Banking, Khwela. He was speaking at the second Climate Summit hosted by Standard Bank in partnership with the University of London School of Oriental and African Studies this week. This year's Climate Summit comes on the back of the release of Standard Bank's group climate policy earlier this year, which commits to achieving a portfolio mix that reaches net zero by 2050. The one-day event built on last year's net zero theme and looked at climate change within the context of energy access and focused on the just energy transition in an endeavor to identify, unify, and raise Africa's voices on the important topic. The call to action now is that Africa needs to prioritize capacity building support while securing technology and finance as a matter of urgency. Moving on to our next story, the production, use and disposal of plastic poses the biggest challenge in waste management. While individual governments have instituted legislative measures and even signed international conventions aimed to stemming the tide of the plastic waste menace, the world is yet to see an end to plastic pollution. Across Africa, plastic pollution remains a serious problem, devastating communities' health, the environment, and the ecosystem that millions depend on for their livelihood. But amidst this challenge, Rwanda remains at the forefront of waste management, earning its capital city, Kigali, the moniker Africa's cleanest city. Rwanda's efforts began with a 2008 ban on non-biodegradable plastic bags, which was subsequently followed by the outlawing of single-use plastic items as one of the long-term strategies for becoming a green and climate-resilient nation. The ban was aimed at minimizing the danger of plastic pollution to humans, farm animals, aquatic life, and the environment. According to a World Bank report, Rwanda's current strong institutional and political will, legal frameworks, and citizens active in eliminating plastic pollution foster socio-economic development and environmental protection. Persistently high temperatures and related heat stress are a big problem for people living in cities, especially in slums and informal settlements. It's a problem that is expected to continue. According to the latest Intergovernmental Panel in Climate Change Assessment report, heat exposure in Africa is projected to increase in terms of person days. That is, the annual number of days when the temperature is over 40.6 degrees Celsius multiplied by the number of people exposed. Heat exposure will reach 45 billion person days by the 2060s, over 3 times the rates between 1985 and 2005. This will make sub-Saharan Africa exposure to dangerous heat one of the highest globally. Heat exposure challenges are increased by a shortage of basic services and infrastructure, along with low-quality housing, poor socio-economic conditions, and few green spaces in slums and informal settlements. In our final story, equity and justice feature prominently in the Working Group 2 contribution to the IPCC 6th Assessment Report established in 2022. The report focuses on impacts of climate change as well as vulnerability and adaptation. In its summary for policymakers, the report states, inclusive governance that prioritizes equity and justice in adaptation planning and implementation leads to more effective and sustainable adaptation outcomes. High confidence. This is a welcome, albeit long overdue development. The report offers widespread evidence in support of a focus on justice across different sectors and regions. It reflects rapidly mounting concern for climate justice in both advocacy circles and in the public discourse, and a sharp increase in the volume of information on this topic. Arguments concerning climate justice include the need to address historical inequities, contest established power, and consider diverse perspectives and needs in planning and delivery. Only by confronting these issues directly can we deliver on sustainable development goals and climate goals. To recap our top stories, Rwanda leads Africa in plastic waste management. For more CSI news, you can visit our website at www.socialtv.co.za.